Good evening. Good evening. I waited all day for this. See? Put on my hallelujah light. Now you're thinking, what is she wearing those heart-shaped glasses for? Well, if I'm going to read true stories of people I met through my hospice experience, and I held their hands with a hospice heart by Susan Lee Mintz. I'm going to read my hospice book. I wanted to set myself in order. I won't wear them while I'm reading, but I wanted you to see that I have set the stage for my reading. Now you know that I always take a few minutes to decompress and vent, because truly the response from all of you is so overwhelming. I mean, I am speaking to the world. Go figure. I'm a little girl from Troy, New York, who in just an instant went to be 76 with good hair. But I am speaking to the world in my little dining room, in my little phone, to whoever. I didn't have to go to the airport, pack a bag, pay anybody, the inconvenience. I just wrote some books, and God told me to read my books. Okay, God, how do you want me to do this? He didn't get specific. In my heart, He told me to read my books. Some of you have truly been with me from April 3rd, when we started on the journey, my journey. I read for 2 months from my personal journey, my book, Committed to Love. And I've stayed committed to doing this at 5:30 every night, unless there was a glitch with something. Committed to Love, a woman's journey through love and loss. And I know some of you are going back and you're telling your friends, and you are starting from the beginning. And that's wonderful, because no matter how sad some of this stuff may appear, some of these chapters in my book might be, I can promise you that they're life. You're not going to go through life without having some sadness, disappointments, rejections, loss. Hi, Wendy. You have to. The only thing that you're going to get through is if you have the Spirit in here. You have to have your heart right. You have to have hope. You have to deal with your hurts. And I know your history. Write your history, but I know you. I've been through what you're going through. Not the same stuff that way, but we all are going to hurt. We're all going to hope. Thank God for hope and faith. We're all going to have a history. Once you come out, you have a history. And you're going to have everything else that God gave you to feel. The reason I think there's so much chaos out in the real world, our world, is that people don't have hopes. They don't have dreams. They feel lost. They feel alone. They have an internet that's connecting them to what? Is it helping? I'm talking to people I do not know in a dozen countries who may not even understand what I'm saying, but they know, they can feel me. Half the states have already checked in. I'm amazed that I'm doing this yet. But now, I will tell you just one little thing, and I have to say it all the time. Please go to susanmintz.com. Please go to the books page. You'll be able to read a lot about my love for my Jeffrey, who passed from AIDS in '94. You'll read about both books. You'll have interviews on the media page. Very good. And at some point, very soon, every reading will be on there, because the last part will say Susan Reed's Committed to Love. At some point, it will all be there. Half of them are on there now, but the rest will all be. So the entire book you can copyright with your friends. One day, the world will know about it. One day, the world will know these stories that this woman told in her dining room, in her home, about her people, the people she met on her journey. And because God gifted me to write, I'm a scribe. I'm just a scribe. I was born to have this in my hand, my weapon. This is my weapon. And I was born to listen to you. Tell me your story. I can write it. But it might be big, and then I got to condense it down. But I'm no different than you. You'll have a story. If you're alive, you will have a story. Write it out if you want, journal, writing. But how could I be telling you these stories if I didn't have them down? I can't even remember. I don't even remember it. I'm reading these for the first time with you. But I met these people, and I felt with these people. In this chapter, you're going to have stories that when the series is made, when the right person comes along, and they say, we want this. This is the next best series. Yeah, if it's cast right and done right, you've got 24 stories in here. I don't make them up. You've got 24 chapters in here. I didn't make this one up. I write about people. That's the gift, folks. I'm not a writer of science fiction, and I don't do all the drama stuff, and I'm not Stephen King. I mean, people don't even know I exist. I sit here in my dining room and feel like the world knows me. No, but some people in the world do. But it's okay. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So, I have to put these on one more time. We've done chapter 1. That was the man singing Spanish hymns to his mother as she was transitioning. I don't like the word dying. I like transitioning. And then we did chapter 2, which was the man who couldn't get the proper diagnosis until it was too late. Boy, have you all had some of that stuff happen to you ever? Not that it's too late, but please don't tell me you haven't had some kind of a mix-up somewhere, or you haven't been told something that was wrong, or your doctor didn't know what he was talking about. There's a lot of bad ones out there, but there's a lot of good ones, and they got to listen to you. The doctor's got to listen to you. This man was telling them everything. They didn't get it. I met him in hospice, had a great night with this man. I met the Spanish man when he was singing to his mother. I don't know what he was saying. I don't speak Spanish, but I shared that night. There's the story. Here's chapter 3. Now this one's a grabber. For those of you who want to stay with me on this journey, and I held their hands with a hospice heart. Stories of hope, faith, love, and loss. That's the price you pay for loving. You're going to lose. Okay, I'm done preaching, ministering, witnessing. Now it's time to read. And now that this is my hair, I can put my glasses on because yesterday was challenging when I had the wig on. Got a lot of compliments on it, though. Chapter 3. Here we go. And I always say, too, check with the description because there might be a part 1 or part 2. This story, definitely going to take 2 readings because I also add my own in. I think that's why I'm getting to you because I'm talking to you. I'm talking to your heart, and I don't even know you, but you know me. I'm telling you about people I know, and I'm talking directly to you. Here we go. Chapter 3. And this will be a 2-parter. Check the descriptions. Good, I got plenty of time. This is so wonderful. I look so forward to this. This is like my life now, is this. Let me just, all right. Here's chapter 3. Their love, devotion, and maintaining a sense of humor. Remember, we had a sense of humor in my book. Gave them the strength to go on as 2 sisters lost both their parents within 24 hours. Have you ever heard of that one? You haven't ever heard of my stories because you're not where I was doing what I do and you have your own. Quote, she said that they were more than a family. They were friends. End quote. What did I always say about my marriage? I loved Jeffrey with all my heart. I still do. But my marriage was terrible. But my friendship kept us together for 37 years. There they were, August 1998. Remember, I didn't put this book together till decades later, but I had their stories. I just had to put them in. Their love, devotion, and maintaining a sense of humor gave them the strength to go on as two sisters lost both their parents within 24 hours. Here we go. August 1998. Dear Jeff, last night I met two sisters who epitomized everything that living and loving was all about. I watched in awe as a family ran the gamut of emotions, from heartache to hope, from laughter to tears. They inspired me with their sense of humor and never-ending commitment, oh my God, to their parents and each other. Tonight I was fortunate to have shared this experience with a wonderful woman and her two courageous daughters. I went to the care center and started my shift. There were many visitors and all the rooms were full. As I proceeded down the hallway, I noticed that the door to this room was closed. A sign was posted on it that read, quote, in caps, "Beware of dog," end quote. Okay. I had never seen that on a door at the center before. When I knocked, I heard a soft voice telling me to come in. I hesitated at first, thinking that some huge, ferocious animal was going to attack me. When I went in, I was surprised to see a small white poodle nestled under a lady's arm. The woman smiled and said, quote, "She's a holy terror when she hasn't had her wine," end quote. Everything right. I knock on the door, the "Beware a dog" sign. I'm thinking, is that, a Rottweiler going to greet me? And next thing I know, a little white poodle was nestled under this woman's arm. And the woman smiled and said, quote, "She's a holy terror when she hasn't had her wine," end quote. My laugh disturbed the little animal that rested comfortably at the woman's side. He barked at me several times and then settled back down on the crimson pillow. I said, quote, "It always catches me off guard when I see an animal in the room. Having your buddy here makes it feel more like home. We want you to feel that way because that's a very important part of the hospice philosophy. Yep, we want you to feel at home there because it's part of the hospice philosophy. In my home, I was able to do it. And that's why I love hospice, because they came in and helped me. But now I'm with them, telling their stories." I said, "My name is Susan, and I'm a volunteer on the floor tonight. Can I get your dog something to eat? Or perhaps he or she would like a drink of water," end quote. The frail woman took a slow, deep breath and said, quote, "No, he already ate my dinner, and my daughters are bringing us some wine," end quote. We laughed, and the poodle started to bark again. I said, quote, "You have a wonderful sense of humor, and I am sure your dog does too," end quote. I put the water pitcher on the night table and pulled my chair up next to her bed. Are you capturing all this? Are you understanding that these are stories that should be read to the world? And I'm reading them to the world. And you are the world to me right now. I noticed that the woman had the most beautiful hands. I see this now, I remember. Her nails looked freshly manicured in a bright cherry red gloss that accentuated her long, slender fingers. Their elegant look was a sharp contrast to the thin, fragile body before me. As I put my hand out to pet the dog, I noticed that his nails were painted too. As I put my hand out to pet the dog, I noticed that his nails were painted too. She said, quote, "He thinks he's a she," end quote. Well, that's certainly today's world, isn't it? Boy, that one hit. I said to her, quote, "Your nails are incredible. Forgive me for saying this, but they are real, aren't they?" End quote. She put both her hands up in front of her face and proudly said, quote, "Other than my daughters and the furry third child, they are my greatest treasures. I have my mother to thank for them," end quote. And I said, quote, "If you need a touch-up, I would be happy to oblige. I don't think I can do your sidekicks," end quote. She said that a friend was coming in tomorrow to do her hair and nails. I mean, just think about that story. You know, I'm at the care center, just walking the hallway, and you see a sign on the door, and you knock on the door, and you're very careful about someone's privacy, and you walk in, there's this little frail lady in bed with a little white poodle under her arm. And she says he wants his wine, and she's waiting for her two daughters to come back with the wine. And her gorgeous hands, her nails were magnificent, and her hands were slender, and she was so frail. They didn't match. And yet the dog's nails were painted the same color. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This is so good. I remember, see what's happening. I've never read this book. I've never read this story, ever. Once I wrote it, I put it in the book. I had to edit it and do it, but I never read it. This is so good for me. I asked her if I could stay until her family arrived, and she said, quote, "We would love the company. It is difficult for me to talk and breathe at the same time, but I want to do both as long as I can. I must use the oxygen, and I have to pause often to catch my breath," end quote. I began petting the dog that was half asleep under her blanket. She said, quote, "I'm 66 years old. I've had advanced emphysema and lung cancer for years. I'm not in any pain, but I don't have the energy," end quote. She took several deep breaths and said, quote, "My mind is in much better shape than my body," end quote. Gradually, an understanding, almost like a rhythm, developed between us. She would speak and pause, take a few deep breaths, and continue. It was like a dance we were doing. I got to feel. Again, I talk about hearts and hopes and histories, and have compassion and love is the secret to it all. And that's what absolutely gets people to open up. If you have an open heart. Hi, Sandra. So she would speak, then pause, take a few deep breaths, and continue. I said, "How can a little lady like you have such long fingers?" end quote. She said, "I am 5 feet 8 inches tall and looked really good when I could stand up. I made quite a statement in my time," end quote. Quote, "Well," I said, "even lying down and all bunched up, you are still making quite a statement," period. A little poodle under her arm, her frail body, her red nails, the dog's red nails, on a crimson pillow. Yeah, she was still making a statement on it. I was totally unprepared for what she told me next. She said, quote, oh, am I chilled now? Listen to this one. Boy, God is talking to me. Here we go with the chills. I was totally unprepared for what she told me next. She said, quote, "My husband is in another hospital. He had a heart attack after I came here. My 2 daughters are with him now. They are very close with their father," end quote. Well, I was speechless. She's in hospice, and he had a heart attack after she was put there, and he's in another hospital. The woman was spending her last days battling lung cancer at a hospice center, while her husband was in another facility with a serious heart condition. I said, quote, "Your daughters have quite a full plate," end quote. She acknowledged my comment by stating, quote, "You remind me of my best friend." Boy, do I hear that all the time. Quote, "You remind me of my best friend of 40 years. She was the only woman I knew who could wear a turban and look beautiful. I told you I always wore turbans because so many of the people I met had gone through chemo or had other conditions where they lost their hair. So to make them feel comfortable, I stuck my hair under all these colorful turbans with bows and flowers and accessories, and it made people feel good." Let me start here. "Your daughters have quite a full plate," she acknowledged by saying, quote, "You remind me of my best friend of 40 years. She was the only woman I knew who could wear a turban and look beautiful," end quote. "I told her that I wear them a lot at the center because they do not look," quote, "medical." Oof. "Would you like me to take it off and show you what I really look like under this bonnet," end quote. "Oh, yes," she said. "My friend had bright orange hair, and to this day, I don't know why she wanted to cover it up," end quote. "I knew when I took off my turban and showed her my orange hair, it would make her day. I removed the purple turban, and when she saw that my hair was indeed bright orange, she burst out laughing." That's the thing. I had brown hair when I was younger, and then it started to gray. So I colored it. I had every color palette there was, L'Oreal palette, Chinese palettes. There was a red or an orange. You can imagine the slick hair with all that, and I'd shove it up under a turban, but I loved my hair, orange hair. It was incredible. Wait, we got a little more yet, because this is going to be 2 readings, so let me go. So, "I knew when I took off my turban and showed her my orange hair would make her day. I removed the purple turban, and when she saw that my hair was indeed bright orange, she burst out laughing." I mean, there's a woman on oxygen, can barely breathe, and I'm making her laugh. Here, I'm going to stop at the next paragraph. "Unfortunately, she couldn't catch her breath and started to cough and choke at the same time. The dog got upset and started to howl, and that's when her daughters arrived. It was an awkward situation for a few minutes, but eventually everything settled down. After the introductions were made, we all started to laugh. They brought a bottle of red wine and poured it into 3 styrofoam cups. The dog had his own little bowl. He was affectionately referred to as their other sibling with fur. They asked me if I wanted to stay and have a drink with them. I said I was on duty, but perhaps another time. As I left, the dog was finishing his second bowl of wine." The dog, the little white poodle, was drinking his second bowl of wine. "I was making coffee when the sisters came out of the room. One of the daughters was identical to her mother. She said, quote, 'Mom likes you a lot,' end quote." I'm all chilled. Oh my God, I love telling my stories. Oh, but I have my own talk show right now. I'm on my own podcast. I have it all right here at my own little house. One of the daughters was identical to her mother, so she said, "Mom likes you a lot." I told her that the feeling was mutual. When I asked how their father was doing, they both snickered and half grinned at the same time. The other daughters said, quote, "Well, he's in worse shape than Mom. He doesn't know just how bad she is, and that she's in hospice, and she doesn't know he's probably won't pull through his heart attack," end quote. Oh yeah, I'm stopping there. You have got more. All right, so here's the story, right? So we'll sum this up, and then we'll go back to this story tomorrow night. I'm at the care center doing my job. I go into this room with this little white poodle under this little lady's arms. She's got the most gorgeous hands. They're crimson, gorgeous hands. We're talking, little she can with the oxygen and everything. And next thing I know, I talk about her hands, and she tells me she likes me. I remind her of her best friend of 40 years. I'm always told that. And if I know friend had orange hair. Really, she loved her orange hair. So I say, "Would you like me to take my turban off and show you my hair?" Oh, she says, oh, yes, I love that. Well, I took off the purple turban. I showed her my hair. My hair was this big, thick nest of orange hair. Oh, she laughed so. So she started to choke and cough. I, of course, got nervous, and that's exactly when the daughters came in. We settled down, and I explained the story, and everybody was fine. So next thing I know, they're pouring wine into the styrofoam cups, and the dog's drinking out of a bowl, 2 cups of wine. So I leave, and the father's in it, so I'm making coffee, and the daughters come out and say my mom likes you a lot. Okay. So they said, how's your daddy doing? He says, well, dad's in worse shape than mom. Dad doesn't know mom's in hospice, and mom doesn't know how bad dad is. So I'm leaving you with that cliffhanger. You do not know how it all's going to go, except I told you already in the description. These 2 beautiful daughters are going to lose both their parents within 24 hours. These are stories of courage. These are stories of hope. I don't write silly stuff. I write about serious informational stuff, but I give it a twist because I will not have hope in my stories. I will not have love. I will not have faith. I will have everything that God wants me to have and put into my writing. These stories are real, and what I tell you about them is from my heart. I love writing about people. I can't stress it enough. I wish I had a show where you could tell me your stories and I could tell people I could just, if I didn't write them out, I could speak them out, just like this. You pictured that little white dog. You pictured that woman laughing when I showed her my orange hair. You felt that little white poodle drinking wine. You felt the sister saying she liked me. You felt that this woman's in hospice, probably going to transition soon, and her husband had a heart attack and is in another hospital, and neither know about each other, and these 2 daughters are dealing with it in a positive way. You tell me that's not courage. You tell me that's not hope. You tell me that's not everything in life that is. This is love. This is love. Go to my website. I'm not promoting and selling. I'm just telling you to go to my website. Check it out. There's some wonderful photos so you see what my Jeffrey looked like. There's information about my books. There's so much. That's so good. The interview, so much. So much. So, I'm going to put my hospice heart glasses on again for those of you who tuned in late. Yes, I shall say, as I always say, I'll see you tomorrow night at 5:29. I can't make it to 5:30. Shalom, hello. Shalom, goodbye. And shalom, peace. Be kind, or kinder. Be patient, or more patient. Call someone. Really call them and just tell them you're thinking of them. I call people every day. I talk into their voice machine because nobody answers. But that's okay. I did what I'm supposed to do. I call somebody. God bless you all. I mean, I'm amazed. I will see maybe 19 people watched. And then I go to see viewers and it says no viewers. I still am perplexed and do not understand the viewing and the viewers. But I don't care. I'm talking to you. Y-O-U. Shalom. I'm going to hit finish. God bless you. And I'll see you tomorrow night with the continuation of Chapter 3. It's a cliffhanger, folks. I'm going to hit finish.